All right, hello, welcome everybody. One more week down. Glad to see some people here.
Hello.
George, how are you?
Great, Tom. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Today was good. We'll definitely get into it. Bitcoin was down. This was a different week. We've been having some out of control weeks. Things simmered down a little bit this week. There was a mass exodus of retail investors this week. We can talk about that. And congratulations to everybody who's here on this stream, because that means you are not one of the people that jumped ship. So, as always, we will start out by asking to please smash the like button. It helps the stream out in real time. And right now we have very low numbers on the stream, which is indicative of the fact that we had almost nobody watch our videos this week, which is indicative of the fact that we had one bad day on Monday and everybody who's not us here panicked and ran to the hills away from Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. So,
You really think that many people got out?
oh, yeah. Absolute unbelievable amount of money traded hands. Somebody's saying my mic is quiet. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I mean, you're just a quiet guy, Tom. You know, usually people that speak quietly, what is that? Carry a loud stick or a hard? I don't remember, something
What?
like that.
It's walk softly.
Big
I'll
stick.
try and get closer to the microphone.
Okay.
Let me know.
Okay, that's much better.
Is it?
That's much better. Yeah.
All right. Well, and I'm turning myself. Oh, I just turned you all the way
So
up.
I have a question. How is Bitfarms doing?
How'd
Bitfarms is up
you get to
600% for
Bitfarms?
the year? Because I just was reading what Miguel was saying.
Oh, you want to take a look at Bitfarms first?
Sure, we can. We won't pick on anybody about anything, but we're talking about that later.
Yeah, that's next.
I sound good, thanks, Danny. At least my volume's okay. Yeah, speak loud, softly, and carry a big stick.
I know we were messing. This microphone was having issues, but we thought we solved them all in prep before we started
Shit
here today.
farms.
So
Tell me about
who
shit
said
farms,
that?
Tom. I mean, Bit farms. Micro
Micro
Pig
Pig,
called
how
it
dare
shit
you?
farms.
Welcome
Is it
to the
doing good
stream,
still?
Micro Pig, and how dare you? Yes, it's on. They're on fire. FE702, what's up?
I haven't even looked.
Bitfarms was
I
up.
barely have looked at anything this today and
Well, we missed our window. There was 4 I was looking into. One went off today. So, although I shouldn't
oh
say
really?
I should never say we missed our window, because we're still super early on all of this. So, not time to panic yet.
Wow, $3.
Well, here, I'll go to
I just remember looking at Bid Farms and I'm like, I know I can get it for $1.05. Remember? I'm like, I can get it for $1.05. Tom, I'm gonna get it. And then that was a Friday, and I think we were talking about it on the stream. And then like I just gave up. I put an order in and I forgot about it. And then come Monday, it was game on.
Bitfarms since November 24th. Today's December 15th. That's 3 weeks ago. It's off of its highs. It's up 197% off of its highs of yesterday, up 215%. So this is a monster run for Bitfarms. It's overdue. So I know a lot of you guys
are you trying to show a chart again, Tom?
Oh, that's
Tom?
on me. Thank you very much. All right, I just switched.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go.
Okay, so let's
Okay.
try that
there
one
we go.
again.
Yep.
So from right here, Friday. That's Friday. So that's what is that? 3 Fridays ago till now.
That's like a straight line.
100. That's 197%. So Nice run for Bitfarms. Bitfarms, I think, in that window is the #1 performing Bitcoin mining stock. CleanSpark was out ahead of everybody in this window of time, but now I think we'll go to them. I think Bitfarms has actually snuck ahead of them a little bit, but let's take a look. This was, this goes back 1 week further, but that's okay. 183%. I mean, 183% and to the peak 203%. So Bitfarms and CleanSpark are off to the races. Others have done extremely well, but these two are just running away. Darren Thomas, thank you very much for the super chat. Darren said, Tom, who is currently the most undervalued? Bitfarms, Bitdeer, CleanSpark, Cypher, Hut, Iris Energy, Mara, Riot, not financial advice. Well, I will tell you, I'm going to hedge this question. I'm doing my own personal deep dive, and there's another one or two that are not even on your list that I'm really looking into. I'm looking to build out during the bear market, during the crypto winter, somewhere March, April of last year. I really got down to my highest level of conviction plays. So at one point I had 8 or 9 Bitcoin miners. I got down to like 4. And now I've been trying to expand that and add to some new positions because like we just saw, CleanSpark, for those of you who have watched the channel for a while, if you're new, welcome. If you have not yet smashed the like button, please do us a favor and smash the like button. It helps the channel out massively in real time. It helps the live stream out in real time. Anyway, for those of you familiar with the channel, and I see hello to all the members. I see a lot of members. We'll say hello more in a minute. You know that CleanSpark and Bitfarms are my #1 and 2 positions and have been for the last year and a half. So those two have run up massively as we just looked at. So for me, I'm looking at, and I have some other positions that are, sizable, but I'm looking for the next round. What's next? Because these are not all moving in unison by any means at this point. And I do think there's some opportunities out there. So as much as I love Bitfarms and CleanSpark, I would not say they're the most undervalued at this point based on the fact that they just both ran up pretty close to 200% in the last month. I mean, that is a huge, huge run. I'm taking a very close look at Cypher. I think Hut's still way undervalued. I know, everybody disagreed with George. Not everybody, but a lot of people disagreed with us on Hut over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. I think they're already, it's already starting to pay off. I did some dollar cost averaging into this. And I think that's just getting going. I think Cypher's undervalued. There is a catalyst next month that may affect that, so we can talk more about that later as well. But those are two that jump out on the list for me. But these are interesting. I'm interested in finishing, updating my due diligence on Bitdeer. That had a huge jump today. I don't even know when that happened. Well, let's look. Let's go to the 1 hour. Was this happening all day and I just was sleeping at the wheel? Because, okay, so see, this wasn't. I don't know what happened. This all happened at the end of the day. So let me know in the comments. I didn't see any news on this. And I really, honestly, by the time this happened, I was in show prep. And not until I sat down and brought the screen up. Bitdeer's up 20%. And really, it was all, I went to the 1 hour candle.
Oh, you've been on. We were just talking about Bitdeer.
Yeah. So, those are some of the ones I'm looking at. I'm taking, I've already taken a closer look at Hut. And I think, we interviewed Sue. I will tell you in the comments sections, we're brutal about Hut. And I've said on the members only live stream, I just have a really different opinion than that. And I think I talked about it on last Friday. Well, I know we did on last Friday's live stream as well. And, fortunately, that's moving in the right direction now. And I think it's only just begun. It's not even back to where it was, 2 weeks ago. So I think there's some on this list that, and there's a lot of good stocks on this list. So it's, this is not easy to pick from. Couple other super chats. Let me just get to real quick before we move on. Clive, thank you very much for the super chat. Clive said it's a pity that emotional reactions cause some individuals to sell their shares when the market dips. I definitely want to talk a lot more about that exact thing, Clive, because there are people trading on emotion and they are losing their money. And I mean, we got to talk about this because it's just it just has no business in what we're doing here. Right? There's the if you're trading stocks on emotion, you got to, not financial advice, but do yourself a favor, just stop. Just stop and buy an index fund or something, and or do whatever you want, but trading on emotion does not work. It's does not tend to lead to good decisions, and it's not a good thesis for buying and selling stocks. My personal opinion. FV702, thank you very much for the super chat. And we'll talk more about that emotion thing later because there's some specific examples of that where I think people got absolutely decimated. I think they were duped. All right. Remember, there's big money out there trying to dupe us. And too many people fall into some of these, what I think are extremely obvious traps. And they lose all their money. And who do you think's buying your shares? That's all right.
That was the whole reason I got into HUT. That was the only reason, by the way.
Right. And I mean, you said that. It might have been on the members only stream. I can't remember, but and that's exactly right. I mean, with HUT in particular, Vanguard and BlackRock haven't even established their position in that yet. So in this monster sell-off, that thing crashed for no reason. And remember, it's fundamentals versus, action on the stock versus fundamentals in a company. Those are the opportunities we're looking for. And the opportunities pop up all the time. There's an old saying, let me finish FE702. Ginsler, WTF, is he approving or not? Poll time. All right, let's do a quick poll and then we'll talk more.
I'm verklempt.
Super simple poll. January 10th is kind of the a drop dead date, one of many. So are we getting an ETF on or before January 10th? That would be poll number 1. And if you just arrived and if you are able to on your device, please smash the like button. There we go. Please smash the like button. It helps the stream out a lot in real time. Like I said, our views have dropped off of a cliff. We had one bad day on Monday, and it's like we don't exist anymore. And the thing is, I've seen a few other YouTubers that are in the Bitcoin space, channels that are 15 or 20 or 30 times my size, and they've come out and talked about the fact that since Monday, their views fell off a cliff. It's like one bad day and all the, whatever you want to call it, paper hands, whatever you want to say, it's like they ran for the hills. You could see it in the price action. And, if you could see it, I mean, I could see it in my analytics. It was amazing. The drop off was shocking. And this live stream has half of the viewers at last Friday's did. So that if that's any indication, congratulations if you're here and there's opportunities to be had. These pullbacks, if you believe that Bitcoin's going up, then, these pullbacks are your chance to, build out your positions. They're not the chance to sell and run away.
Tom, I'm still buying. Not giving up.
You are
not going to do it.
You're doing your dollar cost average, right?
Endless. Yep. That's my new thing.
I got to get to Manuel. Manuel, thank you very much for the super chat. Manuel said, hey, Tom, what happened to the Bitcoin miners if we get the famous Cutter 100K candle on Bitcoin? Is it crazy to expect all the miners to jump 400% in hours? I do not believe that. All right. There's a lot of money coming in. There's that's one of many places, that has massive amount of money. They've talked about allocating, $500 billion to put it into crypto. That's not going to, I don't think we're going to get any candles from that particular event like that with that much money. I mean, that's a third of the entire market cap of the entire cryptocurrency universe. They're going to have to dollar cost average in over a long period of time. So I just don't think that we're going to get one of those kind of deals. Now, we do get Bitcoin is extremely volatile. All right. And, you know, at some point in this run, whether, it's that money coming in, whether it's the Bitcoin spot ETF, whatever the case may be, we're probably going to get some gigantic candles. But I don't, no, I do not think we will see Bitcoin miners jump 400% in any given day throughout this entire cycle. That's my personal opinion. It doesn't mean it can't happen. And if it does happen, it would be with one of the nano cap Bitcoin miners. You're not going to see a $3 billion Riot jump to a $12 billion market cap in a few hours. So, there's Marathon Riot. Cleanspark is just about $2 billion right now. It's been jumping above and below, so that's not going to jump from $2 billion to $8 billion in a few hours. Now, you got very small market caps, if like, Argo Blockchain, Stronghold, Moss and DigiHost, any DMG Blockchain, who knows? Those tiny, tiny market caps, wild things could happen. We've seen 100% up days on the nano caps. So, I mean, one never knows. So you can't rule anything out, but I'm certainly not planning around anything like that happening. But all of these big pieces of money that are committing to add themselves to the crypto universe, this is the whole thing, particularly with Bitcoin, most specifically with Bitcoin, and then obviously as a function of that, the Bitcoin miners, there is a finite supply. Already, most of that supply, is not moving, right? 70+% of the Bitcoin has not moved in over a year, which means as we've hit new high after new high, remember, we've had probably, in the last 60 days, we've probably had 20 of those days where we hit a new high for the year. And all those people did not sell their Bitcoin. So, is there a number some of them will sell it at? I'm sure. But there's a diminishing amount of supply available. And until we get to much bigger numbers, not a lot of money, not a lot of that, in my estimation, is going to come off of the sidelines. So that is the thesis for, Bitcoin moving up. And, I think there's an awful lot of room to the upside. Who knows, on any given day. I'm out of the which day is it going to be, but we could get a pullback. We're in the middle of a pullback. Bitcoin's down today. So this is actually this is usually yesterday's. This gold line is typically where Bitcoin was when the market closed, yesterday, but this is like 2 or 3 days in a row where it closed within like $50 of itself. So, but, even from there, today we had a pullback to, where's the last candle of the day? So Bitcoin pulled back about 1.5%. And with that, you still had a nice mix of green Bitcoin miners, right? Bitfarms was up 2.7%. HUT was another big up day in a row. This is several days in a row that HUT has been on a tear, up 9.26%. Hive was up. So all three of the larger Canadian miners were up. Cleanspark pulled back a little bit, 2.5%. But we just saw Cleanspark's up 190 something percent. So Bitdeer, we got to look into. I don't know why in the last hour of the day. You know what? I'm going to drill down further on that. So let's go to the 15 minute. I mean, that was the last 15 minutes of the day.
It says 2 days ago, piece of the puzzle missing from Bitdeer Technology Group. 58% share price climb. I don't know. Shifter was not pleased to see the price bounced.
This is down to the 15 minute on the day today. And you can see all of this happened in the last half hour. Most of the volume for the day happened in the last 15 minutes of the day. So I have no idea. Maybe some big money moved into this. I don't. What was the? Let's see what the actual because you can see this typically trades on a lot smaller volume than most of the ones we look at, about a 500,000. So this was 2.2 million, almost all of which was here, in the last end of the day, half hour of the day. I don't know why this moved up. 2.2 million shares in total. That was a gigantic move to the upside, and there was nothing going on all day.
All right.
And well, let's look. So doing a shortcut here. I'm not sure if they've updated this, but it doesn't look like they've submitted anything to the SEC today. So we'll dig in further. Let us know in the comments if you guys know what's going on here. Anthony, thank you very much for the super chat.
Aha! This company has a contract with NVDA. That's the only thing I just saw. Bitdeer has a contract.
But that is not new news.
Sometimes it takes a minute for it to flush out.
Somebody did something in the last few minutes of the day today. Anthony, you know what? I did not. And I know INVU. I'm going to pull it up right now because you mentioned that on a previous stream, and I did make that note. And I have not done. I've been updating my due diligence on some of these that I haven't done public videos or videos for the members in a while. There's a bunch of miners, but let's just spend a minute and look at those guys. So you can see, and today was an oddball day, but this is a small cap company, but there's a bunch on my list that are this size or smaller. So this is a $43 million market cap. And, if I go back to my list, Stronghold, Mawson, DigiHost, Any, DMG, those are all that size or smaller. So, this I may need to add this to my list. I gotta dig deeper, but they put out their results.
Yes, look at third quarter report.
So let's just look at the overview. This is their press release. Gross revenue, $20 million. So that's substantial. Gross revenue for the 3 months is $20 million, and their market cap is $40 million. So this is what's happening to these types of companies. I mean, that means their annual revenue in all likelihood is multiples larger than their market cap. That should not be. Net cash provided by operating activities decreased to $1.8 million, but that's cash flow positive. Net income from operations increased to $2.2 million from the 3 months. Hoping they'll talk about what's their. Well, I'm not going to do this with everybody. This would take too long, but I do want to look. So 480 petahash, so about a half an exahash.
Yeah, how do you get this check mark? I want a check mark.
Oh, Anthony's got a check mark. I don't know.
I'm just going to put a check mark after my name.
Do I have a check mark? Do you have a check mark?
I don't know. How do you get one of those check marks? 702 is like, I need to have.
I'm going to dig more into this because they've got the half a exahash, and I'm not sure if that's the sum total of their exahash. And then obviously, if it is, they have a lot more going on. I don't know if they're hosting. I gotta dig into this, but I mean, this should potentially be on my list. If some of the other ones are on the list, this is their equal. It would seem like. Provides financial products and services in the area of financial education, digital. I don't know if this is up to date. Digital assets and related technologies. The company offers digital asset, self-directed brokerage services. So, is this a trading platform as well? All right. So I got to do more. I got to do my homework. You can see this is quite literally a penny stock. But, you know, this is the thing. Okay, so this is a penny stock, but it's a $43 million market cap. And then I'll have to double check that. That is what Yahoo is saying. So I don't want to, you know, on these small stocks, sometimes they're wrong. We got to dig in and see if that's true. Because if I go to, you know, for instance, Stronghold, whereas this is a penny stock at a $40 million market cap, this is almost the identical market cap, and it's a $5 stock. So, you know, sometimes these things get lost in the price, in the share price. And I really do want to make sure, because this is 22,000 shares is almost illiquid. Let's see if that's an anomaly. I'm going to go to historical data. Then I'm going to move on, because I know everybody did not come here to just look at Investview. A lot more happened today, but I wanted to put this on the radar. Anthony's mentioned this a couple of times, and I didn't get around to it. So this just happened to be an absolute outlier. We had one other low day, but typically this trades some reasonable amount of shares. There's a super low day. So every once in a while. All right. So that's my homework assignment. So if we keep going down the list, I don't know what happened with Bitdeer. Gree was up a little bit. So a lot of these were in the red a little bit. TerraWolf was 0. MicroStrategy was down 2%. They are not a Bitcoin miner, of course, but they are certainly in the Bitcoin universe. And through much requests over a year, I added them to the list. Argo Blockchain was down 3%. Stronghold down 2%. So some of these can make big moves here at the bottom because they're very, very small market caps. Let's look at some of the news this week. All right, let's look at the poll, and then I want to do the next poll, because there was an article that I read that I want to get everybody's opinion on, and let's see what's going on. Also, if you could do us a favor, smash the like button if you would. It helps the live stream out a lot in real time. Much appreciated if you enjoy this content. And if you're here, if you're new here, welcome. For those of you who are longtime subscribers, thanks for coming back. Members, special thanks to. And if you're new, it's free to subscribe, so consider subscribing if you're interested in Bitcoin and or the Bitcoin miners. We talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners at this point almost exclusively right now on the channel. Crypto, you know, to a much lesser extent, maybe more in the future, depending on levels of interest. So let's look at our poll. This is not as unanimous as I thought it was going to be. Bitcoin ETF on or before January 10th. George, did you have an answer to this? He may be on a call. So
Sorry, hang on.
no problem. Sounds like he's on a call. So yes, 73%. No, 27%. So I've been consistently telling everybody I'm pretty up in the air on this. I'm not trying to put a date on it, other than I feel confident we will have a Bitcoin spot ETF prior to the halving. I know there's consensus building around January 10th. We've had some people say that January 8th, January 9th. So there seems to be a lot of consensus building around that. I hope that that is right. But every time we get consensus on stuff like this, it ends up being something else entirely, you know, more often than not. So I'm not counting on any specific date. But I do think it's coming sooner than later. They've delayed this every way possible. I've seen so much information, as you guys probably have as well on YouTube, you know, a lot of indications that we're in the home stretch. But as we've all seen, you know, these things can take a lot longer than we expect. And I'll give you an example of something that has now gone on years longer than I expected. XRP is still in its dispute with the SEC. So, I mean, I thought that would be over 2 years ago. And, you know, who knows when that's going to end. So
XRP's a scam.
you don't believe that. George does not believe that.
Get out. It's terrible. Don't believe it.
That's one of the things you're dollar cost averaging into. FV7.
I haven't bought. I've built out my position and I have not bought anymore.
That's it. You're done. You've got your XRP. You're gonna hold. You're gonna stay where you are. FP702 said, so all the dilution the miners did at the bottom prices looks extra dumb to me. Change my mind. The only thing I can say, FV702, is that the clock was ticking for a lot of these companies, and they had to have a growth plan going into the halving in order to stay relevant, and for some of them, in order to stay alive. So the ones that hedged their bet and did a small or medium amount, you know, maybe they did a better job than some of the other ones. But some of the reasons, like, for instance, one of the reasons that, you know, Cleanspark price has tripled in a short period of time is because, you know, they used massive dilution to grow their actual business. So they are now, you know, rivaling as one of the largest Bitcoin miners. They're going to finish in second place as far as number of Bitcoin mined in 2023. That's a done deal. I'm fairly confident, although, you know, we haven't even gotten to 2024 yet. So making predictions about the end of the year are premature for sure. But my guess is, I can tell you right now, sneak peek, I believe that Cleanspark will mine the second most Bitcoin out of all the Bitcoin miners in the year 2024. So, you know, they built out a business through that dilution. And yes, it would have really been nice if the market would have allowed them to do that at higher prices. But the market was not allowing for that. You know, we were years into these low prices, and it wasn't until some of the miners that have made the biggest moves are some of the miners that did the dilution and showed the market, you know, this is what we're doing. And in Cleanspark's instance, you know, they finished their dilution, and I think that was a catalyst for them to take off, even though it was a massive, I mean, it was a massive amount of stock dilution in a 2-year period. That's just a mathematical fact. There's no arguing that. But it did lead to a company that is many multiples larger. You got to keep the lights on. Yeah, right. That's right.
Did you hear me? You got to keep the lights on. I mean,
that's the bottom line. And, you know, with Bitfarms, which is the other company that's, you know, kind of tripled their price in a short period of time. Remember, like George was saying, it was just 3 or 4 weeks ago he was trying to pick up Cleanspark for $1.05. And, you know, now they're at $2.97.
Not Cleanspark.
I'm sorry, Bitfarms.
Bitfarms.
Right. So, you know, that was 3.5 weeks ago.
I blame you, Tom.
You should not blame me. You know that.
Just so you know.
I listen, none of this is financial advice, but I've let everybody know the two that I've been most vocal about, and, you know, you don't have to do what I do. And, you know, I went through the pain of the crypto winter just like everybody else. But the two I dollar cost averaged in the most and were the most vocal about were Bitfarms and Cleanspark by a mile. So, you know, I feel like those two have paid off, which is why I'm looking and I've really been deep dives of all the other Bitcoin miners, because I really want to get to the bottom of the fact that I do think there's some opportunities out there. Those two have run, and I've held my position, so it's not like I don't think they're going to keep going. I just don't think my next dollar is best necessarily spent there. I'm looking for the next one that's going to have a big run. While those continue to run.
So Tom, I have a nice, easy question. If you had an extra $10,000 or $10,000 to invest in Bitcoin miners, what would you do with your money?
I have to preface this.
I stumped them, guys.
No, I have to preface this because the answer to this is going to be different for everybody, because, you know, my top 3 positions are Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and Riot. So, you know, that is different for everybody. If you already have large positions in certain miners, you know, with your next $10,000, you're not necessarily going to put money in the miners you have your largest position in. I've been vocal that I already, with Cleanspark and Bitfarms, I already went past what I expected to be a full position. Just because the market was beating them up so badly, it to me, the risk reward was worth going past where I anticipated going. And that, fortunately, at the moment, that has paid off. So, time will tell. We're not done with that. So that's the other thing I would tell everybody. There's more volatility ahead. So we had a rough day on Monday, and I just don't know how many people sold their stock low. Now, they may be looking, and they may never get back in. How many people? So I can tell you this: I bought my biggest biggest buy the dip on Hut 8 was at I bought them for $8.10 2 days ago. They're at $10.50 today. So, you know, whoever sold me those at $8.10, they're probably not buying back in at 10.50. So that's when everybody's got to do their own thing. Everybody's got to, but what we talk on this channel all the time about is have a plan, know your company, and don't don't just go with whatever the momentum is in the moment. Unless, of course, you're a day trader or a swing trader and that's what you do. Then if in that case, then that is your plan. But unless it's your plan, selling Hut just because it's having a huge down day or 2 down days in a row, what the stock is doing oftentimes, more often than not, does not have anything to do with the underlying performance of the company. So if you believe in a company, you know what they do, you have a thesis on what their company's going to do over the coming year or years, then those are the things where you should relish a dip in the stock. I talked for 2 weeks before this merger happened. We knew the date of the merger, and for 2 weeks I said, I think there's going to be a big dip when the merger happens. If there is, I'm going to be buying. If there's not, well, I can't get everything. So I'm okay missing too. That's got to be a part of your plan. I wasn't going to chase it if I missed it, but if the opportunity presented itself, and it did in a very big way. So I'm big to me. So part of the answer, George, is I would keep adding to my Hut position, and that's me. So again, I just don't do what I'm doing. I don't come back and say, well, you told me to buy Hut, because I'm not telling anybody to buy Hut. And I can tell from the comments that a lot of people just they're angry at Hut, and I don't understand the anger. To an extent, I think the anger comes from, losing money. So if you held shares of Hut and you sold at the low, then you lost a lot of money. But nobody told you to sell at the low. That was any given person that did that. That was their decision. Hut didn't tell them. And you read my comments on the Sue interview. Everybody's saying, well, Sue, what are you going to do about the share price? Management they don't affect the share price. Right? Stockholders affect the share price. Hedge funds affect the share price. These are small stocks. All management can do is build a good business and keep their eye on the ball operationally and financially speaking. The stock will do what it's supposed to do over the course of time, but in a day, a week, or a month, there's nothing management can do to prevent, a flash crash in their stock. So
when do you think Hut is going to announce that they're buying more miners? Because Chris just said Hut is not a miner anymore. They're AI junk.
Well, they have 7.5 exahash. They mined 390 Bitcoin last month. So that is on par with, there's only a few miners that mined more Bitcoin than them last month. So I understand for the year 2023, as they sat and waited for this merger to go through, this is a part of having a plan and having patience. Just like as shareholders, we need to have patience. And I know a lot of you have a lot of patience, because if you're here, you sat through a crypto winter that was absolutely brutal. You also sat through 4 months, 1 week at a time. We counted these every week. There was, 16 weeks in specific, but a 20-week period where the Bitcoin miners got beat up this year. So we just came out of that, and now we're on the move back up. So I know you guys have patience. Well, for me, in my opinion, Hut 8 management had a plan. was not a plan that was going to get executed in a short period of time. But to me, it was a transformational plan for their business. That's my opinion. I like what they do. So yes, month after month after month, they mined, 110 Bitcoin, 120 Bitcoin, and those seemed like disastrous results. But now look, they put out their November results and they mined 390 Bitcoin. So I expect that to go up. I expect sometime in the next 4 to 6 week window of time, I do expect an announcement for machines that they're going to buy next because, here, let's go to this announcement. Update on Hut 8's staking horse bid for 4 natural gas power plants, including the North Bay Bitcoin mine. This is something they got decimated on. Everybody ridiculed them that they botched North Bay. They don't know what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the end of this whole story, the end of their argument with Validus is they now own everything Validus owned. So, that's this took them a period
Tom,
of time.
I got to interrupt you for a second.
Go
Tom,
ahead.
I got to interrupt you. 49 likes with 210 people watching. Is that right, or is my thing broken?
I'm showing 96 likes, but that is still
okay,
very.
My thing's broken.
That's all right. Well, I don't know, but now that you mention it, 96. We've been getting 200 or 300. Remember, 200 was our new minimum. So if you're here, if you're willing, please smash the like button. It does help the stream in real time.
Updated.
And we appreciate everybody. FE702, I will just interject because he gave a super chat. 10K on cores. At least they produce Bitcoin. I understand. Cores is.
That's what I was laughing.
Cores,
but they're doing a 25-to-1 reverse.
Everybody uses the reverse stock split thing. They're coming out of Chapter 11. So just like Hut 8 did not do a reverse stock split, despite popular opinion. When you're right, you're trading your shares.
No, I start reading what 702's saying, and I'm like, wow,
all right.
Okay. I think the like button is broken, so smash it a whole bunch of times, guys. Sorry.
That could be. I'm not. I can neither confirm nor deny that. What were we saying?
You got a 10? Sorry.
No, Core Scientific is coming out of Chapter 11. So that will be a new stock, a new company. There'll be an exact plan on what they're doing. And yes, it's going to be,
Do they have a date when this is happening?
They put out a big presentation that I still haven't gotten to because they are way, way down my list of companies that I'm doing my due diligence on. For me personally, I do not get involved in Chapter 11 stuff when they come out of Chapter 11 and I can see what actually happened and I can get some updates and I can see their next quarter's financial statements. Then I will make a judgment assessment on Core Scientific. Until then, once again, it's a scenario where by then I may have completely missed the boat, right? That ship may have sailed, but that's I'm very data driven, and I need to know the information. I need to read the quarterlies, and obviously they're in Chapter 11, so everything's going to change for them, and so I want to see a little bit of a track record. This is going to be effectively when you come out of Chapter 11, it's a brand new company. So I understand they have a lot of the same assets they had, but they had to rearrange a lot of things, and let's see how they do. I will agree with FE702. I think they're probably going to mine the third most Bitcoin in the year 2024. So they will be one of the top, from a production standpoint, one of the top Bitcoin miners. But what's their cost per coin? What's their income statement going to look like? What's their balance sheet going to look like? I don't know the answer to those questions. So, I don't know where their stock is going over time. Obviously we don't know where any of them are going, but I can't even make an educated guess without getting a little bit of track record. That's for me personally. Again, everybody's different. So FE702 saying core 25 to 1, 1750 a share. So is the 1750?
But how many shares?
Right.
How many shares?
Well, we can do the math. won't do that here. And you know, on our members only, we can ask if we want a course deep dive. I haven't done one for the reason that I know no matter what I find, until, you know, I'm 120 days away from considering an investment in that. But that, again, that's just me. And you know, not everybody's this.
All right,
has the
welcome to
same
Talking Investing.
methods and strategies of, you know, doing their due diligence, but that's a part of my due diligence. So Kevin, member for 8 months. Kevin, thank you very much for being a longtime member of the Talkin' Investing Squad. I own Hut and Hive. Think it's time to leave those for other miners. If you were doing the same, would you do covered calls to exit? How do you like to exit? So I'm a long way away from my exit strategy, but there's in an environment like this where stocks are probably going to continue to run, then, you know, that's certainly a very solid strategy in my opinion. You do a covered call and you're probably going to end up, you know, your stocks are going to go away that way and you'll get a little money walking out the door. So, you know, I think that's a very valid strategy.
For us that don't understand what you're saying, can you explain it a little slower?
Yes, absolutely. Good. Thank you, George. That's a very excellent question. So let me go to.
Remember, I don't just play dumb. I am dumb.
That's not true. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. So let's go. Let's just go to. I'm going to go to Hive. So for instance, Hive's trading at $3.68. I'm going to look at their options here for simplicity's sake. This is on Yahoo, and since the market is closed, these will be accurate numbers. These will be the closing numbers. So let's say, for instance, now today is December 15th. So we happen to be on an options expiration date. Hive, I believe, only has monthly options. So each company has different options. I won't go too deep into this, but you know, some companies have weekly options. The more volume a company is traded, the more options typically that are offered, and the more volume in the options. You also, you know, should keep your eye on volume for options. You don't, for instance, if you were buying or selling the $2.50 strike point, only 2 of those sold. So I'd be a little scared to be in that. You can see where the action is at here at $3 and $3.50. So let's say, for instance, and I'm going to get off of the December 15th because that's done. So it's now,
wow.
It's now next month. So if you wanted to, at $3.68, if you wanted to sell $4 calls, you could do that and get paid 37 cents a share effectively. So, but what will happen is if Hive runs up past $4, you get to keep that 37 cents, but you sell your shares for $4 because you gave somebody the option. You sold a call giving somebody the option to buy Hive shares at $4. So in that instance, from $3.68, you'd make the difference between $3.68 and $4. So you'd make that 32 cents. Because assuming Hive runs up past $4, and for the purposes of this example, let's say Hive goes up to $4.20. So you'd make that 32 cents, and you'd get to keep the 37 cents that you sold to somebody, giving them the right to buy those shares. So instead of just selling the stock right now at $3.68, you could try that strategy. And even if Hive doesn't get to that point, you still get to keep the 37 cents. So, you know, if Hive goes down, well, at least you made that 37 cents on it. You know, if it goes up, then you make the difference. And then if you're looking to exit the stock anyway, then, you know, instead of just selling it outright, you make this extra money out the door. Or you give yourself the opportunity. You make the 37 cents, you give yourself the opportunity to make more, but you also, you know, if Hive pulls back, then, you know, you still will hold the stock and you're going to lose that money. So with everything, there's a risk reward. So the first 37 cents it pulls back, paid for itself because you sold these options. So I know that was quick and that's not a deep dive into options, but that is what Kevin was talking about. So I think if you're looking to sell a stock anyway and you have some patience now, if there's weekly options, you don't have to wait a month. And we happen to be on an option. This is the maximum time you would have to wait. On an options expiration day, Monday, that's the furthest away from the next expiration day. These are monthly. So stocks will either have weekly, monthly. Some stocks have no options trading. Most stocks have options. Kevin, thank you very much for the super chat again. Appreciate it.
So this, Kevin, because you said that, Kevin saying Bitcoin is 40% of my whole portfolio. How would you split money in between, let's say, we'll just say crypto, maybe say Bitcoin and then crypto, and then stock? Would you have that at all? I mean, I know they're all risky assets.
That is a very personal question. So everybody's going to have a different strategy. On the crypto side of things, you've got Bitcoin. Bitcoin is more than 50% of the market cap of the entire crypto universe. So as volatile as that is, it's the biggest and probably least volatile. So, you can split your risk among Bitcoin, and everything else technically is considered an altcoin. Now, Ethereum obviously has a significantly larger. We'll just take a quick look. See, Bitcoin's market cap is $826 million on a $1.6 trillion market cap for the entire crypto universe. So that's a little more than half of the entire crypto universe. Ethereum's just under $270 billion. So Tether's a stable coin. The next closest coin, you go from $270 billion down to BNB at $37 billion. All right. So you can see there's really, these two coins are just different than the rest. And then you get into smaller coins and, you get 10 down from there and there's a big drop off again. By the time you get down to, let's go to number, even number 12, you're down to 9 million. Number 11, you're down to $9 billion. So, you go from 800 billion to 270 billion, down to 37 billion, down to 9 billion. So you can see this drops off of a cliff. So, but a lot of times these smaller have, higher risk reward. They can make bigger moves. For me, I'm a Bitcoin person, and that leads to my next poll. So I'm going to work this into my next poll. Let me show you an article, George, that speaks right to that question. But first, we'll end this poll. Bitcoin ETF on or before January 10th, pretty close to 3/4 of 148 votes. So thank you, 149. Thanks, everybody, for voting on the poll and participating. So 3/4 of the people think we will have a spot ETF by that January 10th. That I think that's ARK Invest's deadline, where they can't kick the can down the road anymore. They got to either accept or reject. So remember, they can reject and make them start over again.
Well, have they already rejected some, by the way?
Many deferrals, rejections.
So why would you think that they would reject it? I mean, why wouldn't they reject it? You know what I mean?
There's an awful lot of anecdotal evidence that would indicate we are extremely close to a Bitcoin spot ETF. But your point is fair. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Wouldn't you think that, and I'm not going to say the name, but hopefully the initials will give it away, BR would get the first one?
I think that there will be simultaneous spot ETFs. And it won't be every single one, but yes, I think there'll be a first round. And I think, some of the big companies that have applications in are going to be in that first round. So, you guys know who those are. So that's my opinion. I think if they pick just one, that would be a little bit of picking winners and losers, giving somebody a head start like that. Although, I will say some of the names, BlackRock, Fidelity, those kind of companies, they're so monstrous and they have so much of their own money under management that even, if they're second or third, the people aren't going to, BlackRock's customers aren't going to leave BlackRock and go to ARK Invest if they, get a spot ETF 3 weeks earlier or whatever the case may be. But I
Tim,
do think in a short window.
Marathon mined 125 Bitcoin today. No big deal. No biggie. That's a huge deal. Oh,
So is
so
that
here's
true?
my next question.
That's 20 blocks today?
Yeah, I think it is. I think something happened. I think they got, what are they called? Oracles?
That would be, even with ordinals, that would be by far the best day they ever had. So that's a huge, huge day. So this has 12
Kevin, I
blocks
was the
unless,
same way. I drove a old car too until I could afford a bigger, not afford one, but until I was more set. You know what I mean? In my
wow,
ways, I guess.
you are correct, George. Look at these block rewards. So 6.25.
It wasn't me. It was Tim. It was
Okay, well,
Tim.
thank you, Tim, for pointing this out. So typically, 6.25 Bitcoin is the reward for mining a block, as almost all of you probably know. But when you mine the block, you get the fees in that block as well. So, a lot of times that could be 0.2 Bitcoin, 0.3 Bitcoin. Well, you can see this is one of the epic runs. 8 Bitcoin, 7.9. So that means, on this at 9.3 Bitcoin, that means the fees were over 3 Bitcoin on this one block. And remember, 0.1, 0.2 or 0.2 Bitcoin has been, pretty standard issue for most of the blocks over the last several years. So to get 3 Bitcoin, and it's not an anomaly. This one was over 9. This one, 9.8, 9.7. This was almost 10 Bitcoin. These are staggering numbers. So while this is a window into what all the Bitcoin miners are experiencing, because, it's not just Marathon. This happens to be Marathon's blocks that they mined. But that means this is the going rate. So I don't know. This simmered. I'll go back. This simmered down a lot.
This is what scares me about Bitcoin, by the way, just so you know. This is what scares me.
What? Elaborate.
The cost to send your Bitcoin. Midway just said to send somebody a little bit of Bitcoin today, it costs $25 in fees.
Well, okay, but so sending people Bitcoin, there's the Lightning Network, right, is a different way to. I don't think the use case for Bitcoin over time, and as the fees go up like this is going to be more and more true. I don't think that people are going to be sending small amounts of Bitcoin from here to there, in this manner. So, yes, the fees are high. This is almost certainly due to ordinals, and there's no way to get around that on that situation. But you can see, look, and this is just a little way back. We're down into the 6s and 7s, and even these are pretty high. So, this exploded recently. So that's a monster. I don't know for a fact, but if that's not their best day ever, it's the very close. Right? That's an incredible performance, but so that means all the other Bitcoin miners though are going to have huge fees in the blocks that they mine as well. So thank you for pointing that out, Tim. Fees have gone through the roof right now. Good for Bitcoin miners. I mean, think about it this way. Where's that block?
Crypto Fever, to answer your question, a little bit of both, by the way.
So on this block,
just
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Somebody said something about XRP and pricing, and XRP had to hold 65 cents today, is what I heard, or what I don't think XRP is going to be very good in pricing action for the next, I don't know, few days at least. I think we're going to see a slump. I think we're going to see a little bit of a slump in all the altcoins. Not humongous before it takes off again.
You think they're going to lag Bitcoin, or you think the crypto universe is just going to have a little pullback?
I think everything's going to lag for a little bit. Nothing crazy though. Nothing more than a few percent.
I was just reading Crypto Fever saying 3 months ago when they did the note conversion, you couldn't pay anybody in the live to buy Marathon. That is true, myself included. I scratched my head would be an understatement as to why they did that, and I still think I don't
Well,
know why they did that.
You know why? I get a phone call, guys, and Fred goes, "Why do you think my company's going out of business?" We have a long talk about it, and I explain it, and he goes, "Son of a bitch, George is right," and then he gets rid of them. I'm
There's a
not saying that's how that went down.
there is a reason that they have not yet divulged as to why they did that. And yes, their balance sheet looks better, but let me put it to you this way. People were willing to, right, those were at that was a convertible debt not due for over 3 years at 1% interest only payments for the next 3 years. 1%. So, if Marathon did their thing, those were going to end up converting at $78. I think they converted them at, I don't know, $15 or something like that. It was a premium to what their
Something
share
like that.
price
Yeah, yeah.
was. Well, now we're just this much down the road. Their share price is already exceeding that. So don't you think that if they'd have waited a month or 2 months, they would have gotten $25 a share? And how about if they wait 6 months? They might have
But
got $40 a share or $50 a share. That means they would have had to use only 1/3 the number of shares to dilute on this conversion. So there's some other massive
so,
reason we don't know about.
Tom, I wouldn't say this on stream live or anything like
But you're
that,
going to.
but you think, but you think, let's just say, and I'm not talking about Marathon, I'm just talking in general. You think that people do the best interest for their shareholders. That's what you believe. And I think that that's not the case always. And I'm
I
not saying that with Marathon. I'm saying that's the case where I think when you have people that have been with you, you want to give them a reward. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. You know what I mean?
There's a financial reason that this is going to make. I'm not saying they did it. I'm saying I scratched my head and I don't know the reason they did this. I'm not saying it was the wrong thing to do. I think we're going to find out specifically why they did this at some point in the future. A deal is going to unfold where their
Yes, I
future
agree. Yeah.
partner felt that they had too much debt and they had to do that in order to forward some other situation. That's my very strong personal opinion. I don't know that. They haven't disclosed anything like
Mike,
that.
do you think it happens before the end of the month? That's the question.
That announcement
Yes.
from Marathon, I think it
Yeah.
could be a long time down the road before we know why they did that. And that deal may never occur. To me, I don't care. I still wouldn't have done it. Whoever they're dealing with and whatever they want to do, I would have told them to pound sand and come back to me 3 months from now. You're going to want the same deal, and Marathon would have been in a much stronger position. That's my personal opinion. Whereas other companies, when other companies diluted, they got cash for that and they bought mining equipment and grew their business. Marathon did a massive stock dilution and got exactly zero cash for it. None. So to me, I still can't wrap my head around it. And I
So,
understand their stock has taken off and they're doing very well. And I like their company and they're killing it. And I've said that. I've done positive updates on them. They're crushing it. But I don't get why
so
they
you're
did that
positive
still.
on Marathon.
I am. I
You're
think
positive on Marathon.
I'm positive on Marathon. They're going to be one of the winners. And that doesn't mean that particular transaction doesn't confound me. I don't get it. I still don't get it. It doesn't change my opinion on the company overall that they will be one of the winners, in my opinion. Obviously,
Shareholders come last. I feel like institution shareholders come first. That's from Kevin.
well,
I always feel that way. I've always felt that way since I've been in the market. Regardless what company it is, it just doesn't seem like, they're catering to the hedge funds more than they're catering to us. retail people.
That may be true on a case-by-case basis. I don't feel that way about a lot of these Bitcoin miners. I'll name names. I don't think CleanSpark is doing that. I don't think Bitfarms is doing that. Those two jump out at me. Obviously, those are two of my high conviction plays. So as a shareholder, I feel like they are doing all the things I would want them. If I was a part of their management, I'd be doing things similar to what they're doing. And no, obviously none of us agree with every single decision management makes. So for me, I strongly disagree with whatever it was that Marathon did with their $417 million of convertible debt that they got rid of. But it seems like whatever they did is working for them. So, and I like so much of all the rest of what they're doing.
Kevin, I bought Marathon at 4 and sold at 62.
Right, that was the last time around, and there's going to be people probably that can say the same thing this time around. But that goes to my point. Why, if their stock's going to run back up to $78, which I think that is probable. So that's a big, gigantic run up from here. So there's no guarantee, but I think that they're going to go past that number between now and the end of the next bull market. So if that's the case, then they could have converted all those at $78 a share instead of $16 a share. So that's my point.
Raymond, I believe Marathon is getting ready to merge with a big player. You know what's funny about that? I'm going to tell you something. At the Bitcoin conference we were at, you know who were chummy together?
Who?
Core and Marathon. I mean, like, very, very, very close relationship there.
Well, together they would be a monster. I mean, Marathon's already a monster.
That would be the merge.
I don't know. Marathon may be looking to maybe merge with Core, maybe merge with. They've talked about. Fred came out and talked several times about being a candidate for energy companies, and he continues to mention the methane recapture and
Well, didn't
other.
they mention something about Exxon Mobil at one point in time?
Yes, and not direct. It was not a direct like we're considering merging or being bought by Exxon, but they did some type of something with them. I can't remember exactly what it was, and they've talked about it frequently. So maybe it's that. Maybe somebody that's looking to. All we can do is speculate. I don't know. My point is, I think we're going to find out at some point, and if we don't, then I guess I will forever. If we don't find out a reason why they did that, then I will truly, be mystified. Unless there's a concrete, this was why we did this. If it was just generically, hey, we wanted our balance sheet to look better, their balance sheet looked great already. So I'm not buying that as the reason. Something else, in my opinion, is going on there. But again, I'm positive on Marathon. So they're at $18.29.
How's it go?
So those people that converted, they already made money. Right? It's only, what was that, 2 months ago? So they already bought they already converted their debt they're making money.
Maybe they asked to get out.
Then you go no, because
hey,
that's not one of the rights of you don't get to, it's not callable debt, it's convertible debt. They weren't in any covenant.
Solid.
Yeah.
Get me out of this.
Edmund said, Tom, you're doing a great job educating this area. Having said that, you're totally missing much better crypto-related opportunities. We need to talk chat on the side. Throw out some of your. I know Edmund has mentioned many times in the past he's shifting from some of the Bitcoin miners to Edmund. If you don't mind me saying, I know a couple of the things that you have your mind on, and there may be more. But I know you're big on Bitcoin directly and XRP directly. You might have mentioned one more that I'm forgetting as well. So, and I do, we've often talked about talking more about crypto, and George is our local at the moment.
Yeah,
you are our crypto expert.
We asked BitBoy if he would do it, but
where'd he go?
He didn't want to do it. I don't even know. I haven't even I have no idea. I'm gonna go knock on his door, but I don't know where he lives anymore. Talk about destroying yourself,
I don't know what happened with all that. That's another mystery.
I won't even. I just pulled up X. I'm not even going to say what the last comment was, but if you guys want to laugh, go read it. It's really funny. He
From
writes, he's ask a question, and he says, asking for a friend.
oh boy,
Oh my goodness, that's funny. Yeah, I don't. He's not BitBoy anymore. He's Ben,
Sourmelon Gaming
right?
said 200 wealthy investors on the stream right now. I I know a lot of our investors, and last Friday was a very we had 2 Fridays in a row that were spectacular green days for Bitcoin, and more so for the Bitcoin miners. So, if you missed last Friday's stream, we had 3 members uh do a super chat and let us know that they had a 6-figure day on just Friday of last week. So, we have had some people. It was a long, long wait. And obviously, listen, everybody, please don't measure yourself against that. Everybody's financial situation is different. Everybody's at a different point in their life. So, if you have a good day, enjoy your
Dude,
good days. But
he, he's in a fight with me.
ooh,
It says George, but it's crypto. Crypto are us, dude.
might be you.
He's in a fight. This guy's in a fight. Ben, Pitbull. He's in a like. They're going back. You see, I can't understand any of this, dudes. This is like they got nothing going on in their life that they can go back and forth like that.
Maybe they think it's giving them ratings, right? That's a
Oh,
big
they're. I guess
boy.
they're friends. I guess they're friends, and they have their phone numbers. Hey, what is it? Effed up. I'm working with you, and I'm cool with your boss AJ and J Chan.
Well,
If I
our
continue
our
with
AJ, who is a member, thanks for being a member, said I made 2 figures. Well, and I think you're joking, but even if you're not, listen, if you made money, you made money. That's we all got to start somewhere, and all you can do is try and get the best return on whatever amount of money you have. And if you're at a point in your life, work, try and work as hard as you can. If there's ways you can earn more money or spend less money so that you can set some aside and get it into the market. This is, obviously there's always risk involved, but over the long term, the markets have been the way to, improve your wealth. There's 2 or 3 tried and true methods of gaining wealth, and this is certainly one of them. Now, obviously, cryptocurrency is new to this world relative to all the rest of the other asset classes. But, over the last 15 years, this has been by far the best investment that you can make, and it's not even close. That doesn't mean that will always be the case forever. But, in most of our opinions here, there's a lot of positive catalysts left ahead. We're at the very beginning of the adoption curve. Either there isn't going to be adoption or we're at the beginning of the adoption curve, because almost all of the money in the market is not currently exposed to cryptocurrency at all. So the amount of pools of money, the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that have not even yet dipped their toe into the crypto waters. And that doesn't mean all of that money's coming in all at once, but some of it will continue to come in over time, in my opinion. And, like I mentioned earlier on the stream, there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoin in total when we're done. A lot of them, millions of them, are already lost forever. And in addition to that, 70% of those are in wallets that have not moved in over a year. So that's massive. And remember, we've had a series of new highs for the year in 2023. So these are multi-year highs, because 2022 was crypto winter. So you got to go back to the first half of 2022. It's now the end of 2023. That means people have been holding through the entire, everybody that held or even that bought in the crypto winter is still holding. 70% of those wallets are still holding right now, with new high after new high after new high. They're not selling. So there are a lot of Bitcoin wallets that, you know, are, I don't know if believers is maybe the wrong word, but there's a high level of conviction with people that have put their money in a Bitcoin wallet, taken it off chain. Those people tend to have a high level of conviction, and that act alone says they're not traders. They're holding. So I think we're set up for a lot of reasons. Those are only a few of the reasons. We have the catalyst of you know, a Bitcoin spot ETF ahead. We think sooner than later. And I want to talk about another gigantic catalyst for both Bitcoin and even more so for the Bitcoin miners. We just had a Fed meeting where I'm very rarely surprised. Jerome Powell is, you know, he's been very consistent with his talking points. So, you know, if you go back over the last 15 Fed meetings, it's been fairly predictable, particularly the last 8 or 10. You know, you could write the script of what he's going to say. Well, this time that was not true. I was stunned by the question and answer after the Fed meeting. So they did not cut rates. They did not raise rates. Everybody knew that was going to happen. So that was no surprise at all. But they did indicate, you know, they put out their what do they call it? Their dot matrix of, you know, expectation over the next few years. So that was a surprise, and some of the language that was used was, you know, indicating there are rate cuts coming. So this higher for longer mantra that's been going on for quite some time now, I feel like it was an abandoned ship moment when Jerome Powell spoke on Wednesday. We're not in higher for longer anymore, and they made that clear on Wednesday. And I'm going to show you how the market interpreted that, because the market ran with that, and that is extremely bullish for cryptocurrency, in my opinion. So I want to go to we look at this all the time on the channel. This is the Fed Watch tool. So we're now, the next meeting is January 31st. So there's now an 11% chance built into the futures of a rate cut at the next meeting. So I don't necessarily think any of us believe that's going to happen, although you never know.
You don't think a rate hike cut is going to happen, Tom?
Not in January. So the next meeting is January 31st. I think that's premature. But if you look at the March meeting, we're now at 62% think a 25 basis point rate cut, and 6.8% think a 50 basis point rate cut at the March meeting. So a month ago, these numbers were 24% and 0. So a total of 24% has now turned into a total of very nearly 70%. So that's triple the expectation for a rate cut in March, which I still think is very early. I'm expecting multiple rate cuts, but let me show you what I'm going to go to the finish line here. The market is now pricing in by the December meeting. So that's a year from now. The market is pricing in. We're here. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll try and scroll up. We're right here at 525 to 550. So if you look, the market's pricing in 1, 2, 3, 4. The majority of the market is pricing in either 5, 6, or 7 rate cuts in 2024. Just to put it in perspective, a month ago, 7 rate cuts was at 0.7%. Now it's at 18%. 6 rate cuts was at 5.7%. Now it's at almost 35%. So, I mean, this has shifted drastically, all on that meeting. So that's, you know, that hasn't happened. These have been fairly consistent for some time now. And what came out of that meeting was a game changer, and you can see it. So a lot of these, I'm going to go back to our Bitcoin mining chart.
Tom, that's a good poll. First rate cut, March or May?
All right, let's do it. Let's end this
earlier.
Poll.
You can do January for me.
Let's do it.
Because I think they're going to revise. I think they're going to revise the numbers up for inflation.
Well, if they revise them up, that would mean it would be less likely that they would make a rate cut. In a rising interest rate environment, that would kind of take away the Fed's ability to cut rates.
Oh, really? It doesn't make any sense.
That means that they would try to keep the pressure on with higher rates.
What do you really think it was 3.1%? I mean, I just can't believe it was.
Well, we got to take the numbers they give us, but do I believe any of their numbers are?
That's what I think too, Darren. They have to. They gotta cut. They gotta cut because they need to get activity. People, this whole economy, I believe, is basically built on buying homes. And they're already talking about all these realtors having a rough time being able to pay their bills. I mean, cry me a river, but
Let's just do a simple poll. I put 4 options up. First Fed rate cut, the January 31st meeting, the March meeting, sometime after the March meeting, but still in 2024, or no rate cuts in 2024. What's everybody think?
well, they said they're going to happen this year. They gotta happen this year.
Crypto golfer, don't waste a poll on rate cuts. March or May doesn't matter. It's coming down 2 to 4 times next year. Gary is asking, Tom, do you think CleanSpark will pass Mara or Core to finish as second most mined in 2023? I mean, I don't think that's going to happen in 2023, but I do. Well, no, I don't think that will happen in 2023 because it's almost, you're saying in a given month. It will be, in my opinion, that is not going to happen because, their next bunch of machines to come online got delayed to the middle of February. But I do think for the year in 2024, it is my opinion that CleanSpark will mine the second most Bitcoin in the year of 2024, understanding that a year is a long time. We just got a massive amount of press releases and updates from a lot of these Bitcoin mining companies. So if somebody does something that is a surprise that we're not aware of, that could change things. But as things sit, in my opinion, it looks like CleanSpark is set up to mine the second most Bitcoin, second to Marathon in 2024. That's my opinion right now.
Main guy, I totally agree. This whole economy is built on debt. What makes the most debt? Houses.
Well, are you talking individual debt, corporate debt?
Yeah, individual debt. Individual debt.
Our national debt.
It doesn't
When I
matter.
say
Everything's debt.
I'm in the U.S.
But retail people is debt, and the debt that is the most debt that's out there is mortgages.
Yeah, I mean the housing market, the housing construction housing is a monster, right? That's a gigantic portion of our economy in every single way.
I think the spring's going to be a good time. I think the interest rates are going to come down, and I think we're going to have a really, really good real estate market coming up. Unless the federal government does things to mess it up.
Crypto Rich is asking a question. Riot should have 35 exahash in 2024. That's actually their 2025 plan. So, and they have not been extremely specific about exactly when that's going to happen. But that's their 2025 plan. And they have machines on lockdown all the way up to 100 exahash. So I'm not expecting that at all, but they do have the option to get those machines all the way up to 100, but specifically up to, was it 35? I thought it was 35 or 38 exahash by the end of 2025. So in 2024, I don't think, based on what I'm seeing, that it's realistic that they're going to catch CleanSpark. And also CleanSpark's in Georgia. And as we've now are seeing, the uptime capability in Georgia is significantly exceeds the uptime capability in Texas. In other words, there's a lot more curtailment in the state of Texas than Georgia. It's not even close, and I just don't see how that's going to change in the near future.
No.
The grid in those two places is so drastically different.
Isn't this sad that you and I, Tom and I, the way we really got into this is we were gonna build our own Bitcoin mining company. And we researched the states, and that's when we realized that Georgia had a really good infrastructure for electric. And I couldn't believe, Tom, that everybody was going to Texas. And it didn't make any sense to me at the time. Remember, I was like, what in the world's going on here?
Texas was encouraging it. They were very Bitcoin miner friendly. And
They just can't do it.
but it's a part of the reason they're Bitcoin miner friendly. They need things like Bitcoin miners that can shut down instantaneously and kick energy back to the grid. Their grid is
Texas is not the best anymore. I would normally agree with that statement. But Texas is not the best anymore because of their whole energy debacle. I mean, that's all you can call it.
if you're in Texas, you just have to anticipate, and there's a difference. Like for a miner like Riot, you know, they are selling a lot of energy back to the grid, back to ERCOT, and they're getting, you know, in August they got their all-time record. They got like $31.7 million of energy credits. So for the companies that are vertically integrated, that have built their own infrastructure, and they have a fixed power purchase agreement, and they're able to sell back to the grid when the grid demands it, then it's a, you know, it can be a very good equation for them in Texas. But you're going to get you're going to get curtailment in Texas. The question is, do you own your infrastructure and you're going to get paid for that curtailment, or is it just a fact of life and you're just going to have downtime? And some of the big and small Bitcoin mining companies, there's differences. Not all of the deals in Texas are the same. So one of the things about Riot is, you know, they have 700 megawatts at their current plant. They have a gigawatt coming at their next plant. All of that's going to participate in energy credits. Now, you do have to be a good Bitcoin miner. You can't just be an energy credit company, because that is not revenue. The only thing they can use those energy credits for is to offset their future energy expense. So, you know, during the times you are up, you need to be an efficient miner. I would like to see them mine more Bitcoin, but they did make a nice step forward. And I'm speaking of Riot, and somebody asked me in the questions, were you disappointed with Riot? I think Riot needs to continue to show improvement. They did have big improvement from October to November with roughly the same exahash. They increased the amount of Bitcoin they mined. They didn't get quite where I wanted them to, but it was good progress. And, you know, these are the months where there's not a lot of curtailment. So we're getting a look at the efficiency difference in Texas versus, you know, I'm focusing on CleanSpark in Georgia. But if you look at Bitfarms, they've diversified themselves across 4 or 5 different countries. And, you know, their efficiency is amongst the best. Hive is extremely efficient. So all the companies that are not in Texas are the companies that are the most efficient, just as far as number of Bitcoin they mine per exahash over the course of the last year. So we'll see if that changes next year, but I don't see any reason. I don't see a catalyst as to why that would change. I think that's just going to be a part of what you need to built in.
SHA, I understand your statement, but when you talk, I have to tell you that there's some subjects I know nothing about, but these subjects I know a lot about. So when you talk about energy, there's 2 ways with energy. The reason Georgia's having a problem right now getting Saunderville up and running is the distribution lines need to come over to their location. If you look at any of these Bitcoin miners that were built, Texas, New York, Georgia, anywhere, they've all had a problem getting the infrastructure in place so that they could go up and running. What I'm talking about, 2 different things. So what I'm talking about is when that is done and built out, the uptime of those miners, okay? So you got a situation in Texas where they have to curtail all the time. Not saying that Georgia doesn't have to do it, because they do have to do it. It just seems to be that that Texas has to curtail more than Georgia does. And I mean, these are facts, because that's what's currently been happening for the last, I forget how many months.
Georgia is a net exporter of energy. they have a surplus of energy, and so they're just in a totally different formula. And Texas is
Right,
unique.
right,
They have their own grid. I think they're the only state in the United States that does have its own separate grid. What they've chosen to do with that grid to me is a little mystifying, and the result of that is there are times where they need to ask for, a lot of energy users to curtail their energy use, and they've got to pay them to do it. But
right.
that's how
You're
they
talking in
keep the
Texas,
lights on in Texas. Yes.
right? Well, and it's because they bought into a narrative that's not correct. They
You know,
bought into the narrative that we can go with solar power, we can go with windmills, and it's just not the case, unfortunately.
well, it's not. It
I'm
leads
not
to
saying that it won't
inconsistencies.
change over the time, right? It might help, it might over time change, but currently it's not. I mean, like they had they planted, I say planted, they did like 100, no, excuse me, it's like 10,000 acres of solar panels in Texas, and I forgot where it was. And they had a freak hailstorm, and it broke every single one of them. Then they had, remember the ice storm that they had
Right.
that
That
destroyed
ruined the
all these
windmills.
windmills? Yeah, I mean, so it's just, I mean, these are real weather events.
FE702, thanks for the super chat. George, update on the power station at CleanSpark. Are we tracking? Do you see it? And are you buying cores?
I could look out. Sonderville isn't far away from me. I'll call and I'll have that answer for you on Tuesday on the thing. I'll call the guys and see how it's going. I'll call Isaac. Tom, call Isaac. You're buddy with him, and
I
he'll
mean,
tell you how it's going.
and they're
I don't
giving
know. Should I
updates.
buy core? I don't know.
Well, you know my
You're
opinion.
welcome, sir. I don't. My whole thing is this. I actually like Texas as a state. Don't get me wrong. I think the state is amazing. But I mean, when it comes, I'm just talking very specifically power. And in this case, Texas and Georgia Power actually went nuts and got two more um, nuclear power plants. And unfortunately, if we have the goals that we have with electric, which I'm not here to argue any type of, clean energy or anything like that.
All right.
I just think that having nuclear power is still the best clean energy that we can have. But no one wants it in their backyard, and I understand that.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. I mean, it's there's no emissions, or next to no emissions. So from that standpoint, and unlike the other, quote unquote renewable energies, uh, it's consistent, right? You can run nuclear 24/7. There is no dependency on other factors. So that's a fundamental difference,
So,
just
so
as far
where
as
I live in
consistency of your
Georgia,
grid.
how about this one? So where I live in Georgia, there is one, two, three, four nuclear power plants that we are in a meltdown from here. So I'm not like, if it happens to I mean, there's not much I can do about it. And most people don't even know about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big fear, a catastrophe. There's no doubt.
And what's also funny is that we bid out doing like some of the electric work for CleanSpark. I didn't go after it hard because I don't like working for the cheapest. I'm not a person. You see, if somebody says, "Oh, I can get it for $20 cheaper from this guy," God bless you. Go ahead. If you don't think I'm worth $20, have your, pardon my expression, effing delays all day long. Okay, guys. The reason people have delays is one of two things, right? Either manpower or infrastructure. If you got the infrastructure filled out, you need to have reliable people to do your work, and that's what happens. Because the weather's been amazing in Georgia.
Want to see W Song said, yes, nuclear power is the way to go. Yes, I am a nuclear power engineer. So I think you
Oh,
would know
really? Oh,
this a
cool.
thousand times better than I would, but as the little bit of research I've done, if everybody saw an in-depth how-to on exactly how these nuclear power plants work, the safety precautions in place are, the fear is understandable. You're dealing with, sources of power that are, can be terrifying, but I think knowledge is power, I guess is all I would say. And it looks like we have a nuclear power engineer on here. So help educate everybody over time as to the realities.
Yeah, isn't it funny? I love seeing, just so you know, Tom and I talk about this all the time. We love meeting everybody in the chat, and because it's just so neat because you get into the thought process, you watch what's on this, TikTok or Twitter, and you see all these, no offense, but the low life of society seems to be getting all the
No
attention,
offense.
and us just, I'm not saying, you know what I mean? And then you just realize that there's a lot of normal people out there that's just trying to make, the world a better place. And that's all I'm trying to do. And that's one of the reasons Tom and I are doing this.
That's good.
Isn't to sit here and to fight and argue. It's and to belittle anybody. That's not me at all. Well, I mean, it was at one point in time in life, but not anymore. My whole theory is CUDAB, which is can you do any better?
Yeah, and we do get, we have the greatest bunch of members ever and
Oh my God, yeah.
subscribers. So, we have great public live streams, our members only live streams. Thank you to all of our members. Very much appreciated. And it's just a great group of very knowledgeable people on all
Oh,
sorts of different things, right? We all have a different base of knowledge. So when we share those things, that's a good thing. And to
well,
George's point, like the
and
loudest voices tend to be, uh, you know, negative things and
not
nonsense. So yes, we have a higher
and
conversation here. I think. I believe
and,
anyway.
and listen to this. And this is just again a fact. I'm not arguing. I'm not here as political aspect. Okay, I just want to give you a fact. The fact is this: Georgia had a $16 billion surplus. California was 68 billion negative, but I heard it could be as much as $200 billion
Wow.
deficit. And that's like, how do you, how, I, what?
Cosmic Contrarian said nuclear power plants are insanely safe. The safety redundancy built into the safety protocols are super robust. Somebody asked if you
And
were
if
an
you use the
electrician,
water,
George.
I'm not an electrician. The person who runs the company is, though.
George is not an
We just
electrician, but
happen
I
to
will
work
tell
together.
you from watching him run jobs, he usually knows more than the electrician does.
I can do electric. I mean, there's no problem doing it. But I don't, like, when I get into three phase and stuff like that, I don't want to mess with it. I don't want, I just don't want to mess with it. But, a house, there's nothing in a house I'm afraid of. It's simple. Just most important thing is if you're working with electric guys, ground it first.
Ray, thank you for being a member. Ray is asking Tom, will miners and Bitcoin pull back before moving higher? I mean, I'll thank you for that question because I haven't really talked about it on this stream because we're experiencing a little bit of it right now. I'll go through. I do think there's just as reasonable a chance that we're going to retest and find some line of support. So, yeah, we could very well have a pullback. This is an extremely abnormal run in Bitcoin without having, a 20% pullback and a retest. We had 8 weekly green candles in a row. That hasn't happened in over 6 years. Even 7 in a row hadn't happened in over 3 years. It does happen. It's not unprecedented, but it's very rare. This run up has been strong without a pullback. So I would not be, at no point will I be surprised if we have a full 20% pullback from our highs. Having said that, we do have a lot of catalysts hitting all at once here that are counteracting that. And it just seems like, I don't know if this pullback's getting deferred, delayed, or if it's been deleted and canceled and we get to skip it all together and just get the next leg up. But I think it's a fair shot of both. And if I go real quickly just to my 1-day chart, I mean, you're going to see we had a bearish crossover now 4 days ago. But the thing is, the last 2 times we had a bearish crossover, one was very short. It only lasted for 4 days. The other one lasted a couple weeks. But in that time, you know, Bitcoin through both of those was up. So that's very rare. The other thing is, you can see we've been in overbought territory. We never reset back down to, or this is the daily RSI. So this is the RSI on the daily time frame, and you can look at the weekly and the monthly. But you can see consistently over time, every time we get to overbought territory and we have a big run up, we end up resetting the daily RSI. So the one time we didn't, we got down to about 35 instead of 30, but under 50 and usually 30 or below. This time that didn't happen. We've been bouncing around, you know, between 55 and almost 90 since, you know, we crossed 70 in the middle of October. We're now 2 full months into being, you know, between 55, really more than that. You know, 2 full months between being 55 and 90 on the daily RSI. So no full reset here. So yes, getting a pullback at some point would not be a surprise. We may not reset this daily RSI for a long time. We seem to be in the middle of a very strong bull market. The entire year of 2023 was a bull market. We did have 3 20% pullbacks. And this last time where the setup was perfect for another one, it didn't happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. And if it does happen, we went through these lines. I've got a line at, you know, just under 38,000. I think there's...
I can tell you SHA, I don't think CleanSpark will ever re-enter $5 to $6, at least in this run right now. I don't think it'll happen. I just don't.
I agree with that. I don't think it's going to get back to those numbers unless we really have a pretty vicious pullback.
No.
But to put it...
No, I would say up into the halving. I mean, I think we're in pretty safe territory now.
From the high, and I know there's a candle wick over here that's above this, but this candle wick's not, it's false. This is showing up on here, but all the rest of this is the Coinbase chart that I have all my lines on, so I don't want to switch, but this ran up, and none of the other charts show this. So really, this was the high, and from there down to this line, which was resistance, we drew this line back here. There was a couple of week period where somewhere just under 38,000 on these daily candle closes. You can see if I zoom in more, that was this daily candle close on November 15th. We candle wicked up to it. We candle wicked up to it. We closed a few dollars below it. Here we closed, you know, like $5 below it. So for 2 full weeks, this was very strong resistance. Well, you know, we flipped through this and we've never retested it. So to me, that would be a 15% pullback from the top. That would be a small retracement. So I would not be surprised to see that at all. But the way things have been going right now, you know, when Bitcoin runs, it runs. And, you know, the market sentiment with the Fed just shifting gears with, I'm going to go to our other little favorite tool to look at, which moved a little bit in the wrong direction today. But here, you know, the DXY is now, you know, we now really are starting to get some momentum today, notwithstanding, right? Since the Fed met on Wednesday, I mean, this was Wednesday and Thursday, we were trending down for quite some time, and this was the Bitcoin bull run. And, you know, we pulled back up, and now the Fed did their thing, and we're at, you know, we haven't been this low since back in July. And this date right here, when we did get on the low for the year for the DXY, this was the previous high for the year on Bitcoin. So while there's not an identical one-to-one correlation, there is a correlation here that's pretty strong. So, you know, as the dollar weakens back to a more normal level, it's just another thing that's propping Bitcoin up. This is one of the reasons we didn't get that pullback that everything was set up for it to happen. But the question is, did we get to skip it, or are we just is it just deferred and it's still on the way? So I don't know what the answer to that is. Kevin said,
I
"Hey
could.
George,
Go ahead.
did call Bitfarms under $1?" Oh, George did call Bitfarms under
Yes, I
$1
did.
for months. Kevin's pointing that
It
out.
got there. Yep, it did. It got there.
Let's go,
But
because I
I
think
mean,
it
here's the
did.
thing. I love like short. I mean, I love shorting things and think it's going lower. It's just I'm just saying, you're right that SHA, you're right that things do come back down. I'm just saying between now and the halving, I don't see Bitcoin, I don't see CleanSpark going down to $5 to $6. I could be wrong. I mean, kind of hope I am wrong, more than you know. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, um, but I really don't think that it's just going to happen. I'm praying it does, though. Trust me, I
Wait,
am.
anything can happen. And these are highly, we've seen it over and over. Just for perspective, 3 weeks ago, on Friday, November 24th, Bitfarms got down to $1.01. So that was just 3 weeks ago. So that's a triple from 3 weeks ago, because it got over $3
Yep.
today. And a month
And
before that, it got down to 91.9 cents. So this was
time out,
fluctuating.
time out,
Time out.
time out. Who called? I think I called. You guys all thought I was nuts when I said I thought Bitfarms would do the first 10x. So they're already 3x into it.
Wow.
Remember?
Which,
I think did you call it?
what, who called what?
Bitfarms. I thought Bitfarms would do the first 10x.
Oh, yeah, we made our lists. That was most likely on both of our
Yeah.
lists. That's my. They were just set up
And I
for
put
it.
CleanSpark as number 2. Yeah, and I put CleanSpark as number 2. I'm going to the list. There's a list.
And thank you, Kevin said Tom called Bitcoin bottom last December, like precisely. Thank you for noticing. We
He
were
did.
we were
I'm not gonna
adamant.
pissed me off.
Well, and that worked out. So it just that's what the setup looked like to me. But only time ever tells. We never know until we get there.
Right. And a broken clock is right twice a day.
That's
Sorry,
right. Well, I mean, if there's one thing we all know in investing, we're going to get some things right and we're going to get some things wrong. What we got to try to do is get more right than we get wrong. And when we get something wrong, we got to try to recognize it as fast as we can and get out of it and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean this is learning. That's what the whole game of investing is. Is not like, unfortunately I lost a few hundred, I mean I lost a lot of money. Um and then, figured it out. Cuz I don't care if you play the pretend stock game, it doesn't matter until it's real.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And it's good practice to have a pretend portfolio, but when the money's on the line, a lot of people, when they put their head on their pillow at night, there's a level at which they can't go to sleep, and
Me,
and they get out. So, but it's
me,
all, yeah, and sometimes it's the right thing to get out. Sometimes, if you're panicking, then it's not the right thing necessarily. But you got to have a plan. And George, you always say, just because I'm saying this today doesn't mean I'm going to be saying it a month from now. Facts change on the ground, and if you're
oh
not,
yeah.
paying, keeping up and paying
Very
attention,
fluid, Tom. Very fluid.
it's it's a fluid situation. And I mean that's really true. But with the with any individual company, if you understand the company and you feel good about their long-term prospects, then it should, in order to change your mind, something specific should happen that changes your mind. Not just, the stock just keeps going down. If you've done your homework and you've come to a conclusion and the performance is there, and that's the beauty about the Bitcoin mining companies. We get monthly fairly comprehensive updates from a lot of these companies. So it's not like we have to wait and watch and wonder. These timely updates are, for me, they're I think it's fantastic for shareholders.
Guys, I'm going to do a real life 10K challenge update. I haven't looked, don't know what it
Probably
is.
should be roughly what it was a week ago.
Okay.
I'm guessing. We have not
Was
touched
E-Trade
that
bought
this
out
year.
by
By somebody. It wasn't.
Yes, we have.
Oh, you sold one tiny little thing for like $100,
Whoa!
right?
And I bought something too. It's up to $5,704.
And we were at what at the beginning of on
Let's see
January
what.
1st.
Did I lose you,
While you're doing that, nope, I didn't. What were we at January 1st?
Tom? Okay.
You hear me?
I don't know. I didn't record it. We got down to 18. I can hear you. Yeah. We got down to $1,800.
So we've gone from 18 to what'd you say, 56?
5704.
57.
And I have a one play. I took, what was it? How much did I take? I took $63 and I bought BETS
Oh, you did. You rolled the
just because I wanted to
dice.
see what it would do. I took $65 and bought it. Yeah.
What's it at right now?
But here's what's interesting. HUT, it's at 0.00. It's gone.
Oh,
Just
okay.
consider it gone.
All right, so be it.
But here's interesting. HUT, from the time that we bought it, and I haven't moved anything between CleanSpark, Bitfarms, and HUT. I haven't done anything with those. HUT, we are down total. We paid $17 a share, and we're down 38% still on HUT. So they're were CleanSpark were up 118%. Bitfarms were up 35%.
So we're
So
green
the
on
only
those
one
two.
is the only one is HUT.
And that is why I've been dollar cost averaging into HUT. So not financial advice. You guys do you. You can watch my interview with Sue if you want some due diligence. I thought she did a good job answering questions. She said some things that I didn't know and that I was surprised she responded to. So opinions vary. If you look in the comments section, everybody disagrees with me strenuously. But I like what HUT is doing, my personal opinion, and I have been dollar cost averaging into it. Buying the dip, I guess I would say. Let's end this poll.
Wow, this is funny. They
66% of the
do you think
people
this
think. Go ahead, George.
do you think this bets will ever pay off?
It's a nano cap company. So to me, those companies, I don't think there's the way I do my due diligence. I can't, from a fundamental standpoint, I can't say that that's a company that's going to survive and thrive
Okay.
over the long term. Having said that, if you like to trade penny
$6.5 million
stocks,
market cap.
how much? 0.5 million. Yeah, I mean that's
6.5 million. Yeah.
probably have 25 members with a net worth more than the market cap of that company. So very small company. And it may, that's if you're a penny stock person and you
Dude,
like.
my internet's going out. I'm going to let you go.
All right, George, thank you for joining us.
Did you hear me?
I can hear you. You might not be able to hear us. Sounds like.
Well, if you guys can hear me, I'll see you guys later.
All right, George, thanks for joining us. And in the chat, let me know if you can hear me, because apparently George could not hear me. So I don't know if that was just his internet going out. If it was me. Do me a favor, somebody in the chat, if you can let me know if you can hear me speaking so that I can keep going. Or if something's wrong with my mic, then let me know. I'm going to end the current poll. Hear you, George, and you too, Tom. Okay, thank you, DEFCON. I appreciate your answering. I'm going to end this poll, and then I want to show you guys an article that I read, and I want to get everybody's opinion. So I'm going to do a quick poll because I want to see what you guys think of this. Find it. Okay. So this is from JP Morgan. So consider the source, whatever that may mean to you. Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin next year and recapture market share in crypto, JP Morgan says. So I won't read you this whole article, but a couple of the bullet points. JP Morgan analyst expects Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin next year. And then they talk about a proposed network upgrade could serve as a catalyst for market share gains. Meanwhile, JP Morgan is also less bullish on Bitcoin's price than others on Wall Street. So I'll give you my thoughts after, but I want to do a poll and see if you guys agree. What do you think is going to perform better in 2024? Just put this up here. So this is just a either or. Which do you think, as a percentage, which one do you think is going to have a better year, Bitcoin or Ethereum in the year 2024? I'm not going to bias with any of my thoughts on this matter if I have not already done so. A potential network upgrade to Ethereum could be bullish for the crypto next year, according to JP Morgan analyst. In their crypto outlook for 2024, they see Ethereum beating Bitcoin and gaining market share. While we're cautious on our overall crypto markets, again, this is JP Morgan, and I just mentioned this because remember, JP Morgan is a monster. This is one of the largest financial institutions in the world. We are looking for Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies next year, helped by the forthcoming EIP 4844 upgrade. They wrote on Wednesday. So let's see what you guys think. And then I'll let you know what I think. Crypto Rich Crypto said, just like every other JP Morgan opinion on crypto, complete opposite of what will actually happen. That's from Crypto Rich Crypto. Member, thank you for being a member. Crypto Fever said, LOL, the FUD masters, JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon. Clowns. Little clown emoji. You guys think? Crypto Fever, he told Congress or the Senate they should shut down crypto at the same time they were tripling their crypto division team and working on their own stable coins. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, JP Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, said he thinks crypto should be, was shut down, his word. It's shut down, stopped, eliminated. And he had a slew of other derogatory things to say about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And he said if, he was in charge of the government, he'd shut it down. W Song Hut went from my first position to fifth. In about 2 months' time, I sold a small portion of Bitfarms and bought Hut a few days ago. So you're buying Hut. And it probably went in that way because a lot of the other things have run up. So that you guys know, I'm looking at 3 or 4 Bitcoin miners in specific and doing a thorough deep dive that I haven't done a video on in a while to see if there's some of these Bitcoin miners. I'm going to show you a few. And I want to do my due diligence before I know, my own personal answer to this, but for some of these, just to put in perspective, I'm going to hide the volume because, in my opinion, for instance, while Bitcoin in 3 weeks is up 190 something %, if you go to HUT in those 3 weeks, you know, it's sideways or down. Now it's bounced off of $8.35, a low, you know, actually it bounced off of, it got to $8 even just 2 days ago. So I caught very near the bottom, but not quite. I got a bunch at $8.10. So I feel fortunate for that purchase. And we'll see if this keeps, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of room to the upside. So for this one, for HUT to get back to its highs from July of 2023. So that's this year, this July. There's 115% room to the upside. And the reason that I'm using that as a parameter is there are 2 Bitcoin miners that already surpassed, pardon me, excuse me. There's 2 Bitcoin miners that already went past their highs from July, and they're CleanSpark and Bitfarms. So this is not some pie in the sky number. There's 2 companies that already did this. So I don't know that HUT's going to do this, but as I dig into these companies, this is what I'm looking at. Like, this is a company that has lagged. Does that mean it's automatic buy? No, we got to do our due diligence. But I'm looking at that one. I'm going to tell you guys which ones I'm looking at. But again, I'm not done with my own decision-making process, so I'm certainly not telling you guys to buy these, but I will tell you what I'm looking at. I'm also looking at Hive, and I'll show you an announcement that they put out today. So, you know, in the time that you know, off of their bottom, Hive's up 30%. Right? We just looked at CleanSpark and Bitfarms are up, you know, more like between, you know, 175% and 200%. So in that same time, Hive is up 30%. So, you know, is that because they only deserve to be up 30%, or are they just lagging behind and they, you know, there hasn't been a rotation into Hive yet? I don't know the answer to that, but
all right,
I'm
welcome
looking.
to Talking Investing.
Crypto Fever, member for 8 months. Thank you very much for being a member. Tom/members, thanks for everything. It's been a good year and a better one coming. What are the chances we can get an interview from CleanSpark, Riot, or Marathon soon? I mean, the chances are good. I just need to reach out. I will tell you now 3 companies have reached out to ask to come on the channel, and it's none of those 3. But I know, certainly with CleanSpark, you know, they've been on the channel several times. They're very open, you know, to interviews. So, and as well as Jason was on the channel, and you know, I thought he was very open on, and Fred came on the channel. So, you know, all of them have been on the channel. So, you know, if you guys want, you know, put a 1 in the chat if you like these interviews and you want more interviews. I've been hesitant. I'm not sure how much people enjoy these, and I know all these guys make the rounds, but I would be, you know, just because they make the rounds, I try to ask my own questions, and I do ask some different questions than other people. And like I said with Sue, I expect to get shot down on 2 or 3 of my questions, but you know, sometimes they answer them. And, you know, to me, that's a pleasant surprise, and we get some information that maybe we haven't heard elsewhere. So, you know, let me know, because I'd be glad to do another round. It's been a while since I talked to those 3 companies. You know, the last time I talked to Marathon was like the day before they did their stock dilution, and as far as getting rid of their convertible debt. So, you know, a lot has happened since then. So yeah, I'm glad to have them on, and you know, and there's a few others that we can bring on. Looks like it looks like a lot of people do like these interviews. So I'll do the next round of interviews then. If this is something people enjoy, I will do this. And like I said, there's 3 other interviews past that. I don't want to name names until, you know, I've coordinated and finalized plans, but there's 3 other Bitcoin mining companies that I'm talking to right now to whether or not to do an interview on the channel. So figure that out as time goes by. 53 votes. So if you have not yet voted, which is going to perform better in 2024, Bitcoin or Ethereum? And we're asking this poll because JP Morgan came out either today or yesterday and they said that they feel Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin. What does everybody think about that? Also, if you have not yet smashed the like button, it does help the stream out in real time. And it helps the channel out, so I appreciate it. And if you have not subscribed to the channel and you enjoy this content and you enjoy these live streams, we also do deep dive videos. Please consider subscribing to the channel. That also helps the channel out a lot in the YouTube algorithm. So it is much appreciated. And also, I haven't taken a moment. I want to thank all of the members. For $5 a month, we have a membership on the channel. So, we get members have a bunch of other privileges. We do a once-a-week members-only live stream. We have a members-only Discord and some other stuff. So thank you to all the members. So if you're interested in that, right next to the subscribe button is, I think it says join or member, something to that effect. So you can hit that and join to become a member of the channel and get some of that extra content. We have, 30 or 40 or 50 or 60. I don't know. I'm not counting. But we have a bunch of videos there ready and waiting on different companies. So all of those things. I want to go to I've gotten an incredible amount of comments to say you never ever talk about Hive. Why don't you talk about Hive? So I'm going to talk about Hive for a minute. And we just go back to where we were. One of the reasons I'm looking into Hive, while a couple of these other companies have run up 175 or 200% in a short window of time, Hive is relatively flat, up about 30%, which is kind of the top of its trading range for the last several months. Still not even back to where it was back here. And, from its highs this summer, and again, Bitfarms and Cleanspark are well above their July highs. Hive would have to go up 85% just to get back to its highs from this summer. So I'm trying to, make my own opinion. I'm in the middle of a very deep dive on Hive that I'm doing for myself. I don't know that I'll make a video. I'm not sure there's enough interest in that, but I will, let the members know what my, maybe we'll do a members video. Let them know what my opinion is anyway. But let's go to the Hive update. Hive Digital, so this was, I believe this was today. Yes, December 15th. Hive Digital expands its AI growth strategy with the purchase of 96 high-performing GPUs and GH200 Superchip. So these 96 GPUs doesn't sound like a lot, but these H100 GPUs by NVIDIA, these are $30,000 a piece. So if you go down into here, this is what grabbed my attention. And they do a graphic here. $250,000 a quarter. That's what this was generating for them, their AI portion of their business. It's now generating $250,000 a month. And they're talking about in Q1 or the first half of 2024, getting that to $250,000 a week, I believe. But let me read and make sure that's true. Okay. Thus, by the end of Q1 2024, with Hive's existing HPC GPU fleet, the new NVIDIA H100 fleet, and the Bowden GPU fleet, Hive expects to realize a combined $30 million of annual run rate revenue with high gross margins. So that's another thing that's important about this business. So if they can manage that, $30 million a year with much, much higher gross profit margins than even the Bitcoin mining has been. And, obviously we'll see after the halving and with what the price of Bitcoin does, it's possible they could get this part of their business to pay their bills. So, if this part of the business paid for their overhead, that to me would put this company in a different light. And I don't know that they're there yet. And obviously, there's a lot to get from point A to point Z here where they're doing that. But if that's a workable business model for them, I think that's compelling. And this is not even the Bitcoin part of their business, but a lot of these companies, Bitcoin miners that maybe didn't get their opportunity to go to 10, 15, 20 exahash or more, and Hive isn't going to be one of those companies. even with all the purchases they've made recently, I think they're still maybe looking to get to 6 exahash. So, if they can do that effectively and pay for their overhead, with these other streams of revenue, to me, that's the potential compelling argument here in Hive. So again, I'm early in my due diligence. I don't know what my personal answer to that is, but I'm gonna look at several of these Bitcoin miners, take a second deeper look, and try to get to the bottom of who's the next run, because while I didn't sell my Bitfarms in CleanSpark, I'm not going to add to those positions personally, and that's not because I don't like those companies. It's just because for me, I added to those positions more than any other position in the last year and a half, and they just had almost 200% run-ups. So as always, I want to reiterate, just because that's what I'm doing. You guys got to do you. Everybody has a different portfolio. Everybody has a different risk tolerance. Everybody has a different time frame they're looking at. So what's right for me, may or may not be right for you. So please do your own due diligence, as I know you guys do, and I know the members share a lot of that. So I know you guys are out there doing that. Midway One said a cipher interview would be cool too. W Song, my vote is on Mara for an interview. I did see a lot of people say yes, they are interested in starting up these interviews. So I'm going to do that. W Song Hive, I like to know more. All right, so I'm digging in to Hive. Admin said, Tom, love the interviews. You still owe us Iron and Wolf interviews. You have promised Wolf since April or May. All right, Admin, I'm writing that down right now. That is true. And those would be, those are two I'm taking deeper dive looks at as well. So I'm not going to say critical, but I've been hesitant on Wolf in particular because of their debt. But, I'd like to take another look. And with the rising price of Bitcoin, maybe they're going to be able to put a big enough dent in that debt that, it makes a big difference. And so, it's always worth another look. And, it sounds like people are interested in these interviews. So I will kickstart that again. Edmund said, made 100K plus on both Wolf and Iris. Membership has been very rewarding. Thank you, Edmund. I appreciate your support as a member and all of your input that you've given in your time as a member. So, as well as many other members, but while you're mentioning it, thank you very much. Oh, hello, Bryce. McNally Money. Evening, everyone. Hope you all made money this week. Thanks for stopping by, Bryce. And if you guys have not seen, Bryce has a channel, McNally Money. A lot of you probably already know the channel, but if you don't, it is worth it. And also, speaking of interviews, Bryce has interviewed almost everybody we've talked about. So, if you want, in the meantime, if you want to check those out, those are always good. Bryce does a great job on those interviews. So thank you for the stuff that you do, and thanks for stopping in and popping in on the live stream. Appreciate it. Ortiz said, what about cores as far as an interview goes? I'm guessing they can't really say too much until they've rolled out what they're doing, but I don't know what the answer to that is. And I will check Bryce at McNally Money to see if he's talked to cores already. Maybe there's an interview over there. I haven't double checked. I know you've been killing it lately, getting people on the channel and pumping out content. So appreciate it. There's only a few of us talking about these Bitcoin miners. So everybody, it's a small community. So much appreciated. Darren Thomas said, Bryce always has great interviews. Thank you. Thank you, Bryce. Said thanks, Tom. Awesome. All right, so let's end this current poll. Which will perform better in 2024, Bitcoin or Ethereum? So 78% of you think Bitcoin, 22% think Ethereum. So a couple of you jumped right in on what I was going for, which is, to me, it seems like JP Morgan is always saying one thing and doing the opposite. So when they put out something that says they're bearish on Bitcoin and they think Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin and, all the negative stuff they said recently, I'm always very skeptical of what they have to say. And sometimes it seems to me, in my opinion, they do a lot of saying one thing and doing the opposite. So I was interested to get your opinion. It looks like, not surprisingly, I know a lot of us here are Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining investors. So I guess this group would be more bullish on Bitcoin. But, I agree. By far, I agree with that. I have my own issues with Ethereum. I'll tell you. So one of the things that I look at with Ethereum is, and this is only one way to look at it, but, Bit Digital mines Ethereum. I'm sorry. They stake Ethereum. Obviously, there is no more mining Ethereum. They move from proof of work to proof of stake. So, they allocate a lot of their resources to doing that. Just in having to, hold a lot of Ethereum on their balance sheet. And the return on that is, I think it's 1% of their revenue. So when I look at that, to me, I just don't understand the reward, versus other opportunities with that money, especially as a Bitcoin miner. I'd rather see them take all that money, sell all their Ethereum, buy Bitcoin mining machines and mine more Bitcoin. I understand they want to diversify, but are you really diversifying when you're adding, and you can double check my numbers. It's I think it's 1% of their revenue that comes from staking Ethereum. So are they really even in that business? And now they've moved in a very big way. This is Bit Digital. They just made a big investment in high performance computing machines. So now they're, a lot of the Bitcoin miners, it seems like, are buying these GPUs and getting into, that separate line of business, a second revenue stream. So we'll see. Going into the halving, maybe that's going to pay off for some of these. Maybe it will help pay the bills. I don't know. Can they scale up? Can they make it a meaningful amount of money? It's, it's decent investments buying, just the chips at $30,000 a piece. And I don't know, that's the retail price of those H100 NVIDIA chips. I don't know what Hive, I don't think they disclosed what they paid, but, that's $3 million they spent just on chips. So, but if they get the revenue streams they talked about, then it's going to be well worth it. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to end that poll. This rarely happens to me, but I'm kind of losing my voice at the moment. And so I'm going to wrap it up. It's just about time to wrap it up anyway, but for whatever reason, I seem to be losing my voice. So, I want to say thank you to everybody. I hope you guys had a good week. I know this was not the runaway smash hit week that we've been having. I've looked at the daily chart here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that was days in a row. Let's go to the weekly because this was the run, right? We had 8 weeks in a row that were, a few of these were small, but some of these were very big green candles. The last 2 weeks prior to this were breakout green candles. So, so far this week looks like it's going to be a red candle. The week's not over yet, but it seems to be trending. So, maybe we end at 8 straight weeks of green candles. So I know this wasn't, maybe the booming week for everybody's portfolio that it's been recently, but I know for me, I thought the Bitcoin miners performed very strong for, based on what Bitcoin did this week. So, the ones that I had seemed to perform decently. I know, yes, they pulled back a little. I did buy a little bit, so I'm sure you guys may have as well. So, all right. Thank you very much, everybody. Much appreciated. So for the members, we will see you on the Tuesday members only live stream, and I will do my weekend update as always and get that out either Sunday or Monday morning. Sometimes I do that. So thanks again, everybody. Have a fantastic night and have a fantastic weekend. And we'll see you next week.